on Roll for Crit, we're previewing Hero Master, an epic game of epic fails, which is on Kickstarter right now as you're watching this video. It's a card game based on Dungeons & Dragons style RPGs, and it was originally from the conception of a greeting card series that was also on Kickstarter, and this game took that art style and that sense of humor and turned it into an actual game. So it's very tongue-in-cheek, comedic kind of parody almost / loving homage to RPGs, fantasy RPGs, specifically Dungeons & Dragons.
Yes, the story of the board game is that you are part of a large group of heroes that came to kill a dragon. As you all sort of separate into your groups, you're hoping to get a good group because every group you've been with has died before. And you're pretty much... everyone in your team is sort of the last people there. So you're all hoping that you can get enough money to sort of buy your way into a better group.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cards where people are screwing up. You can screw each other up. It is competitive, although you're technically part of one party. You're trying to win by getting the most gold, which you do by defeating monsters naturally and rolling dice and playing cards. Basically the way it works, as you play, you're going to be going to various locations and different monsters will come out depending on what the location is, as well as different amount of treasures and gold for you to try to get. And one person will be the party leader. That's what I am right now with this thing. And that means you get to make the first attack. It also means you get to make some choices, like what that location was. You get some perks from depending on what you picked. But that could also be stolen pretty easily by playing cards. And it could change hands like multiple times throughout a single round.
Right. Each round's going to begin with whoever is the current leader choosing 2 cards from the location deck and choosing which one to go to. They have an ability usually that gives him a bonus because he's leader, as probably some other stuff. So maybe like you heal, can't heal, or maybe you get more treasure, so on and so forth. It also tells you how many monsters spawn, how much treasure and gold. Because even though each monster has a certain number of treasure and gold you get from killing it, you don't pull from the decks, you pull from this pool. So if you already pull all the treasures and then defeat the wolf, which gives another treasure, you don't get treasure. Tough luck. So there's a lot of planning of how to fight monsters that way as well. Once everything's set up, the leader will choose which of these monsters he wants to fight if he so wants to fight one.
So maybe I'll say, giant wolf.
All right. And then we're each going to take turns. First, we have to play an attack card. So Jonathan would play an attack card.
Right, so you have standard weapons and armor that are down here, but these are your attacks that are sort of really your actions for the turn, hopefully.
Right. Your weapons and armor more of like boosting and defending. And your deck initially will be made up of just cards from the your race and your class. For example, we have a halfling barbarian, as well as a human wizard. So that's really where most of your cards are going to be played from. But treasures can add to that possibly.
Yeah, so everybody has a unique, sort of like the way Smash Up is, you kind of have a combined deck of 2 different class and a race, as you said.
Some of them might not do anything until then. Some of them, like Teleport, for example, lets me take the first player token and stuff as soon as I play it. So you gotta keep an eye out for that. But once everyone plays one attack, if it goes back around, you can either play another attack to go again, or a bumble.
A bungle.
Bungle. I can pronounce words.
So you bungled your bungle.
Yep.
So if I play a bungle on you, I have to play it on a specific attack, and it'll do something, usually lowering the value of that card.
In addition, it raises the crit miss. You know, usually when you play D&D, natural 20 is a critical hit, natural 1 is a critical miss. Now, a 7 or below is a critical miss, in which case I not only miss, but I have to draw from this deck. But there could be some positive things in here because we're so stupid.
Yeah, things can work out in your favor. So once everyone has either played a card or passed, you could play up to 3. Whoever was the first player, currently the party leader, gets to take their turn trying to fight the monster. You need to have a certain amount of power against one of their resistances. So they have different resistance ratings for the different types of damage that you can do.
Yeah, regular, fire, ice, and spirit.
So as long as you can beat at least one of those with your combined numbers, you're good. Then you roll your dice, and you're trying to beat their armor number, their armor class, basically. And the green number is your roll. I just rolled a nat 20, so real good.
Yeah.
That might not always happen. The black die is the monster's attack against you.
Yeah, so it would be simultaneous. So, for example, the monster only rolled a 4, and Jonathan has 8 plus 3, so he's good.
Right.
So it's definitely, you could still die even if you successfully land a hit on them, in which case you lose some gold. If you were to just say it did kill you without you killing it back, you didn't get that nice 20. You actually lose 3 of your gold on that monster, and the next person might be able to get it instead.
Right. Yeah. So if, as you said, if I was successful, like that's it, move on to the next monster. But that's why you want to play these extra attacks, because just in case, you're hoping they will mess up and you'll get a chance to move in. Or even if I am first, I might mess up and then hope it comes all the way back around to me.
But whatever your hand usually is at the beginning of that round at that location is the only card you'll have to play with. Right. So you might not want to dump all your cards into that first monster. And particularly when you have 4 monsters spawn, they're not always 4. They just happen to have 4.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It really comes down to that hand management thing. You're trying to figure out what should I play and when, and especially once you kind of know, oh, I'm sort of familiar with that guy's best card and he's already played it maybe, or I think maybe it's still in their hand, so I don't want to use all my good bungles because I want to, or maybe even this monster doesn't help me as much, or I don't have a chance against it, so I'm not even going to try.
Well, yeah, I mean, even then, for example, you can add a weapon bonus, for example, this axe, which gives spear, but if he's used it already, maybe that's when I'm like, okay, now I'll go for something that has a high spirit resistance, so you probably won't have much of a chance. Or maybe I do, so you're forced to use the axe.
Yeah, and your hero also has special abilities as well, along with your weapons. So once they're used, you flip them over, and you have to go throughout the game to try and refresh them later on. And that's basically it. You keep going through locations until somebody has won, or
the dragon's den.
Until you find Crackletooth. And once you've finished that location, you see who has won, how much gold they have.
Yeah, there are more than 7 cards, but you choose 7 cards for each game. So pretty much you have 3 rounds.
Yeah, so it plays...
I guess possibly 4 if the dragon's the very last one.
Right.
But the dragon's always the bottom 3.
It plays pretty quickly. It's pretty basic. I think the game that immediately came to both of our minds to compare it to was Munchkin, for people who haven't experienced this. I think Cutthroat Caverns was another one.
Those are the two. It's sort of a weird middle ground. It has the humor of Munchkin, but I feel, even though a lot of the cards are like I can make a shield that blocks your attack. It's my one of the wizard's bungles. But you're still having this. There's this really focus on being like, okay, I know there's only 2 monsters left. I have 2 cards left in my hand, but if I kill this guy, I get an attack card back, which means I'll be able to go again. So there's a lot. It feels more like Cutthroat and that sort of really trying to think.
Yeah, I think that the humor is different from Munchkin in that I feel like it's less of a parody and more like funny things that could happen while you're playing that game.
Right, it's less of a parody of the players and world.
It's not just a lot of puns too. It's a little less. It doesn't rely on that as much. I think it doesn't get as tiresome in that way. And like you were saying, it definitely has more depth than that. Although it definitely comes down to dice rolls a lot, and that is something I actually initially really liked. I think just the act of having a D20, something about that is cool. It does feel good to roll in the context of not a regular RPG. That's cool. I think that they decided to add.
It definitely connects back to its homage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as what happened to me, I'd be like, all right, critical miss, and I'm not talking about I'm talking about ones.
Yeah, so if that's in there, if you don't like randomness at all, I mean, you're gonna get it. So you got to be wary of that. But I think it's definitely meant to be a lighter party game. But the playtime on the box is 60 minutes. I think that's about accurate, depending on how familiar everyone is with the game
and number of players, of course. This actually worked reasonably well with 2-player when. Something like Munchkin, you probably don't want to do it too.
Yeah, and unlike Munchkin again, then I'll stop comparing it, where that game could go for like 3 hours. This has a set ending, so I feel like it doesn't overstay its welcome. I think once you've figured it out, you've gotten into it. But also by that same token, some people might be disappointed because you also have less time maybe to build up your deck. There's there is deck building, but it's very light. You're not going to be getting treasures too often, so you might feel like, oh, I wish I could have built something up stronger. You could always, I guess, just play more rounds and just decide to go more locations. I don't know if that maybe will be a variant or something that they go with in the future. But yeah, if you like simple games like that, if you like something like Munchkin or Cutthroat Caverns, I think this is a decent one to look at. The art style and the humor, I think, is definitely one of the strengths.
It does actually limit itself in a very good way that still leaves the humor and that sort of challenging thinking of a strategy of what cards to play at what time.
Yeah, so it's Hero Master epic of epic fails. Ooh, it's real. It's epic, and there's fails in it. But we'll
I think
see.
you rolled like a really low number on your speech check.
Yeah, it's something that happens to the best of us. Check it out on Kickstarter. Let us know what you thought, if you happen to see it, if you want to back it or not. And otherwise, that's the game. And I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Will.
And this was our Kickstarter preview for Hero Master.
Hey, if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and like this video for more excellent board game content.
Heck yeah!